Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Worldviews. Today, we are joined by Alissa Watson. She is the creator of a YouTube channel called At Home with Alyssa. She's a former Jehovah's Witness and shares her journey of leaving the faith, deconstructing belief, and rebuilding life outside of a high control religion. Alyssa, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me on. It's great to be here, Devin.
Yeah, I guess, Alyssa, can you just kick us off with what your Jehovah's Witness upbringing was like?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in it. I came from a very devout family. So my mom was a third generation, which made me fourth generation. Came from a big family, all like very into the religion, firm believers, and life was kind of hard. Being a Jehovah's Witness child is not fun. You are the outsider. You have a lot of rules and regulations you follow. I was the second kid in my family, so it was just me and my sister. I was the baby. My sister was the rebellious child, so I kind of always had this pressure on my shoulders to be the good kid and the one that set the example for our family life. And it's just not like I said, it's not a fun life to grow up in. I hate sounding like a whiny, baby about that, but it's terrible. You in school have to be the kid that's awkward and uncomfortable because you can't be friends with anyone. You don't celebrate holidays, don't celebrate birthdays when those things are happening in school. And back when I was in school, they used to make bigger deals out of them than they do now. So, I mean, they'd have like birthday parties with cupcakes and everything, and you were asked because your teacher knew you were a Jehovah's Witness. You were told to go sit in the hallway or go sit in the library while they had these parties or these holiday parties. And you just kind of had to deal with that. And that was your entire life in school. Um, Again, my parents were very devout. My dad was not raised a Jehovah's Witness. He came in his 20s. So he had a big family that were not Jehovah's Witnesses. So I had a little glimpse of kind of normal life on that side of just family that got together for birthdays and holidays, and we were always excluded because we didn't celebrate that. And it's just there's a lot of pressure on you. Again, so many rules that you have to abide by, and it's not a fun life. It's not fun.
Did you feel that sort of I don't know if tension is the right word, with your family members that weren't Jehovah's Witness anytime you were deeply in it? Did you feel some kind of, I guess, uniqueness in the relationships?
Yeah, it was you kind of always kept people that were, like, outsiders in the world, as they call it, as kinda, like, at arm's length. So, like, you would be kind to them. I had cousins. I had, like, 4 girl cousins who were, like, right around my age. So, like, in hindsight, we should have been very close. We all lived near each other. We're same age, going through the same stuff. But I just viewed them as outsiders, so I was kind of terrified to be around them, to be completely honest. I know that sounds crazy. But I do remember times being around my dad's family for, like, summer barbecues, and I was, like, 7 and on edge thinking like, "Oh my goodness, we're making God so upset that we're with these worldly people. They do not love him. They're going to die at Armageddon." And you can't feel like you can relax around these people because they don't understand you and you don't understand them. It's very weird. It's a very weird dynamic.
Wow. Did you? Because how big was your family, you said?
So my dad is one of 7, and my mom is also one of 7. They came from very big families. So we had tons of cousins, aunt, uncles. Obviously, on my mom's side, they were all Jehovah's Witnesses, so it was a different story when we were around them. Everything was based around our faith and our religion, and it was easier to be around them because we had common ground. On my dad's side, none of them were Jehovah's Witnesses, so it was always very awkward and uncomfortable.
What do you believe the most challenging thing you had to do was as a Jehovah's Witness?
Um, Gosh, there's so much. I think as like growing up, it's the being the outsider. Like being a kid is hard enough. Being in school is hard, especially when you hit that like preteen age where you're just awkward and you're going through puberty and everything is uncomfortable anyways. But then adding the level on it that is like you constantly have to sit there and stand up. They call it standing up for your faith. So you're having to tell your classmates like, "Oh, I don't celebrate birthdays and here's why." Or trying to like start Bible studies with your classmates. It's so cringy to say, but that was really really challenging. And then as I got older, the field ministry, the service they go in there to, everyone knows Jehovah's Witnesses as the people that knock on your door. They go door to door. That is not fun. It is a very, um, taxing thing to do because, 1, people don't want you coming to their door. You're constantly being rejected. Most people were kind and, like, would nicely be like, "No, we're good. We're not interested." But if you're doing that every week in and out your entire life, it wears on you. It is not enjoyable. It was probably my least favorite thing about being a witness, and as I got older, I stopped doing it because I was just like I had kids, I was like that was my excuse. It's like, "I'm not taking them out. This is not happening."
Yeah, because I was gonna say, how many I mean, you probably knocked on 10,000 doors, right?
So many. Yeah, so many. And it was very unproductive. That was the other thing. Like, they claim, we're the Jehovah's Witnesses are the only people who are doing exactly what Jesus did, and that was the field ministry. They put such emphasis on that, which is funny looking back now. It's like, that's the dumbest thing ever. But they claim that's what makes them the truth is the fact that they are knocking on every door they possibly can. um, as I started getting older, they shifted to I'm sure most people now see them at, like, little carts where they, like, stand at a park or stand by a bus station or something. They've shifted more to that than the actual, like, going into a neighborhood and knocking on every single door because it's not productive. Literally, people see you coming, lock their doors, don't answer. I mean, I was 35 when we left, and I like you said, I probably counted, like, 10,000 doors or so. I was constantly out at a younger age every Saturday, and there was not a single person I talked to that did anything with the religion. So it's like, that should have been, like, red flags to begin with. Like, if this was the truth and Jesus actually speaking through us, then people should have been, like, flocking to it, but I never experienced that.
Yeah, for the ones that instead of knocking on doors, you said they transitioned to the whole model of they just set up a table and have people. Do you I feel like even that model is interesting because what I've noticed, especially up my street, there's always 2 Jehovah's Witnesses right then and there. They usually don't ask you anything first. They almost wait for you to say something first before they engage with you. Versus
Yeah.
the model of going door to door, you actually engage with them first. So I'm not even sure if there's any value of being the one to wait for a random person walk by to say something towards to you.
Well, and that's so they have special training. When they started doing this cart witnessing, I can't even remember how long it's been. It's probably been like 10 years that that's been like a thing that they've done. And they had special training meetings that you went to. And that was a big rule was like, you do not engage first because the way they were getting on these public property places was almost like saying, like, "We're just there as a public service. We're not gonna bother people. We're not gonna be a nuisance. So we will wait to engage with anyone unless they engage with us." So it's kinda pointless because how many people are really going to come up to you and strike up a conversation? It's very few and far between. And I feel like it's become almost this thing where people will set up a cart and then they sit forever away from it in the shade if it's somewhere shadier away from it and just kind of hang out, and they're counting their time and they're saying, "Well, I'm doing my service, so I'm okay for this month." But the fact that they're not actually engaging with people is just crazy to me. Like, that's not again, they claim to be following Jesus, but, like, Jesus would never have done that. He would go out there and, like, seek these people out and, like, speak to them first. He wouldn't be sitting there waiting, being like, "Okay, ask me a question, and I'll talk to you then." So
Yeah, do you recall when you were in it, what were the repercussions if someone did not choose to go door to door and instead just didn't wanna do it?
you were viewed as they call it inactive. Being in the field ministry is basically a requirement. Um, it was like this year that they changed so you don't actually have to count hours, but before that, they had hours that they wanted you meeting. So it was usually on average, like they wanted you out 10 hours a month. So if you worked full time, that meant you were going out every weekend to try and fulfill that. If you got less than that, they viewed you as spiritually weak. If you didn't go out at all and you weren't reporting any time, you were inactive, which means like you're on the edge of the congregation. And a lot of times you would get soft shunned. People would view you like as kind of bad association. You would have elders trying to meet with you all the time to encourage you, and they call them shepherding calls. So it wasn't an option basically to not report time if you wanted to be left alone. So like A lot of people, myself included, once I had children, I would just fake report time. I would like say, "Yeah, I got 4 hours in. Here's my time slip." They had a little sheet you filled out with how many hours you went out. You would turn it into the congregation, and then they would say, "Okay, she's still technically active, so we can't, like, treat her worse than so and so who hasn't got any time." So, yeah, I would just fake it. I was like, "Yeah, I got 4 hours this month. Sure." I talked about God to my children a couple times.
So it was pretty easy to lie about. Like, do you think that a lot of members did lie about that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. I think probably the vast majority do, especially because there are those that sign up for more, like, full-time. So there's something called pioneering, which is where you are committed to a set amount of hours every month for at least an entire year. It used to be 100 hours a month, and then it dropped to, like, 90 hours. I did it 1 year in my 20s, and it was, like, 70 hours a month that you had to report, or they would remove you from the pioneer list. It was technically like a privilege to be able to do that. And I mean, the vast majority of people I worked with who were also pioneers would be like, we'll round up our time this month. We weren't quite there, but we were close enough. So,
Yeah. What about the whole? Because I'm always, I'm always thinking like, do they even, when they make people volunteer to do that, do they even care about the weather?
no, not at all. Not at all. Um, rain or shine or snow, you're supposed to be out. And they have other avenues of witnessing. So if it was like a really, because I'm in Colorado where it's like we can have pretty big snowstorms. And on those really snowy days, they would like still say, let's meet and we'll do, they have something called like phone territory. So they basically compile lists of phone numbers off of like probably Google. I don't even know where they get it from. And you like sit at a table with everybody and you go around and someone makes a phone call. And it's like, or they have letter writing that you can do when the weather's really bad. um, they used to do, I mean, there's no excuse pretty much. They're like, "Rain, shine, whatever the temperature is out, you should be going out in service."
Yeah. And what was like a, I guess, a typical church service like? Was that what was like the
Um,
uniqueness there?
it was very boring. No. Okay, so growing up, there would be 3, they call them meetings a night or a week. So you'd have, like, 2 midweek meetings in the evenings and then a weekend, like, Sunday service kind of thing. Um They every single one of them is based off of, like, I'm learning this more as I've been out, like, most churches just dive into the Bible, maybe a few scriptures, and they talk about Jesus. Jehovah's Witnesses have books and brochures and all these things created by Watchtower Bible and Tract Society that is just more indoctrination of, like, their teachings that you go through at these. So um, like, when I was little, it'd be like a Tuesday night meeting was like an hour long, what they called book study, and it was out of one of their books that they have published, and you would literally just, like, read a paragraph and ask a question, and the question's in the paragraph, and it was literally, like, based on of this religion only. Again, looking back now, there's very few scriptures discussed. It's always like, here is how Jehovah's Witnesses feel about this certain subject. Here's why we think you have to feel that way too. Here's a scripture that kind of backs that. But they don't quote it, they don't read it. It's just like in parentheses at the bottom of the paragraph. So most meetings were that way. Um, Thursday nights were, again, another sort of like kind of Bible study where you went into one of their books and you would discuss like a few paragraphs in it. You would also have, they called them, I'm like thinking this is this is long-winded. There's some, like what they called parts. So you'd have a man, a brother that would go on stage and read a passage from the Bible. And then you'd have women that could actually, this is the only time women could ever be on stage, is they would like 2 women would go up, they called them householders, and they would sit and talk to each other like they were out in service. And it was basically training you how to be better at the door. And but it's kind of comical because it was always like your the person that was your householder was always a Jehovah's Witness. So they'd be like, "Yes, of course, I would love to hear more about your message." And it's like, that's not training us anything because nobody actually acts like that. And then Sunday would be like a 45-minute talk. again, just from a man either in your congregation or from a surrounding hall or congregation. Again, these were all outlines. So the governing body of the Watchtower Bible Tract Society gives like, I don't even know how many outlines there are, but basically a sheet of here's your talking points, here's your scriptures, and that's it. And you base your talk off of that. These men aren't even like diving into the Bible themselves. They have everything written out for them and they just pretty much read from it. And then you followed that with the Watchtower study. And um it was again just a publication. The magazines that you'd place at the door, there's like a public edition that they would like study at those meetings. And again, it's just more of their teachings being drilled in your brain every meeting. It's crazy.
Yeah. Did you have, like, a lot of friends, or did you feel like you had close relationships? There were people around you outside your immediate family that you could actually trust that were maybe peers?
No, not really. So that's one thing that is kind of unique about this organization is you kind of can't trust anyone because everyone's a tattletale. Like when you're growing up, if you do anything wrong, anybody that's a peer is going to turn on you at any second and turn you into the elders for something you're doing wrong. As you age, it doesn't really change. So once I got married at 19 and me and my husband never really had friends in it because we didn't trust anyone. We also didn't really like anyone personality-wise. There's a lot of strong personalities that are just not very welcoming. It's like they're very I don't even know how to word it. It's almost like everyone's really fake. They have this, like, fake personality they put on around everyone, and you don't get to know anyone, so you pretty much stick to your family, and that's the vast majority of Jehovah's Witnesses I know. It's like your family unit is your friends, and that's about it.
Yeah, and because you guys there's not much celebrations of anything. Do you guys ever do anything for fun? What's the recreational element here of anything?
Um, I mean, it's funny because they always are like, "We have fun all the time." It's like, "Yeah, doing what?" So, um, for, like, us, sometimes the congregation, your Kingdom Hall would plan, like, a picnic. You guys would all it was like a potluck, everyone would bring a dish, and there would be people playing, I don't know, baseball or basketball or whatever. That was few and far between. Those happened maybe, like, once a year. Um You have people that tend to have stuff that they like to do, like hiking or, you know, working out a lot, whatever it may be. You feel guilty. So they have the governing bodies put out a ton of information on recreation and like free time. They kind of word it in a way that it's like, it's fine if you have things you like to do and hobbies, but make sure that you're doing all your spiritual tasks first. So your meetings, your prepping for meetings, your service, all of that first. And then if you have time, you can do your run that you like or you go out hiking. But if you're prioritizing the things you enjoy doing first, that means you're spiritually weak. So not many people had a lot of fun stuff to do. For me and my husband, our favorite thing was just like go out to eat on weekends and sometimes family dinners with family. Um, but yeah, there's not a lot of fun that happens in that world.
Yeah, because it even seems like based on the siloing, based on the fakeness, that even conversations with others are almost always surface level. There's not really much
Yes.
depth you can ever have. Is that fair to say?
Yes, no, very accurate. Yep.
Wow. Yeah, and I guess when did you start having? Because you and your husband got married in it, so I assume you guys had doubts around the same time?
Yeah, so, again, we got married very young, and it wasn't until I turned 35 that my doubts hit me. So from, like, 19 to 35, I was a married wife and just trying my best to be the best Jehovah's Witness I could be, and, you know, I never had doubts. I look back now, and I just always felt like I was not good enough. I was never doing enough, and I feel like that was probably my body in some way being like, "Something's not right." Like, you need to actually look at the Bible objectively by yourself to see if what you're being told is true. But yeah, my husband woke up actually like about a year before I did. And he woke up by just trying to become a better Jehovah's Witness and like strengthening his faith. And him studying deeper into the, like, doctrines and stuff actually opened his eyes to, like, how false they really were. He faked it for that, like, year and just pretended like he still believed because he was so terrified of, like, me finding out and being like, "Okay, well, I choose your religion over you," because that happens a lot. But he finally opened up to me, and when he did, it was just like a snowball. I was like, "Oh my gosh, we're in a cult. This is insane. Like, we have to get out." At that point, we had, um, a baby and a toddler, and it was just like, "I'm not raising my children in this. We have got to find a way to exit as fast as we can." And it was like an 8-month period of us figuring out how to get out pretty much because it's not easy. They don't This is not an easy religion to leave by any means.
Yeah, I was gonna say 'cause I feel like when it's that controlled, you almost have to move away.
That's pretty much, I mean, we chose, so there are basically 3 options when you are trying to leave, which it's like huge red flag. This should tell you anybody who's thinking about this religion even slightly objectively in their brains that this is a cult, but a lot of people will move away from where they live because then they can do what they call fading. So they're away from family, they're away from people who know them. They can kind of go inactive, not go to meetings, not go out on service, and like the people who know them personally would never know pretty much. We didn't have the luxury of that. We looked into it actually very seriously and it was just like this is not going to work with 2 kids. You have the other option of doing something that gets you disfellowshipped, which is their way of, like, excommunicating people and disciplining, so going against some Bible standard and admitting it to elders, and then they can disfellowship you, and you kind of can, like, be done with it and just never come back. Or you can disassociate, which is when you write an actual letter that says, "I am no longer one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Take me off of your records. Take me off of everything. I want nothing to do with this," and you turn it into, like, your local elders in the congregation that you are in, which is what we chose to do, um, because we didn't really have another choice, and we wanted to get our kids out of it, so that was, like, the only way we could do it and break free without feeling like we had to look over our shoulder every day. Because when people will fade locally and they know where you live, they'll drive by your house, they'll see if you have holiday decorations up, they'll see if they can, like, see anything like an American flag on your house or a potential, like, sign of a birthday being celebrated, and then they'll disfellowship you. So they're, like, always stalking you basically to try and get you in trouble, even if you try to fade.
Before I forget, how was your 36th birthday? Which was, I guess, your first birthday?
Yeah, it was good. It was weird, actually. It kind of felt strange. I was like, "What do I do with my hands with someone singing happy birthday to me?" Like, it was a little weird. This year was better because I was like, "Okay, this is actually kind of fun," but for yourself, when you've never done it your whole life, it feels strange for sure.
Yeah, I bet it felt extra strange when people saying happy birthday to you, because even those that are used to it don't know what to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so then, I guess when you guys did finally leave, were there any relationships you were able to hold on to, or did everyone just turn their backs?
Yeah, no, sadly, everyone turned their backs. So, thankfully, I did have, like, my dad's side of the family who were never Jehovah's Witnesses. Um, but at the same time, I'm like, I grew up not really having relationships with them, so it's not like it's been kind of weird trying to, like, cultivate those now that I'm an adult. But yeah, the second we told our families that we were done and we were leaving, we got blocked on, like, every social media platform they were following us. Like, his mom blocked my phone number, my mom blocked my husband's phone number, like, such petty stuff, and we had conversations, and they were like, "You realize we'll never speak to you again. You understand what this means, that we have to treat you like you're disfellowshipped and you were dead in God's eyes," like, all this crazy talk. But we had, again, prepared ourselves for that. We knew what was coming. We knew all of our family were very devout Jehovah's Witnesses, and we know just by witnessing it ourselves through our lives, how they treat people who leave. So we were prepared. It didn't make it easier, but we were fully prepared for it. And it's still shocking when your own parent is like, "I'm never speaking to you again. You're dead to me. You've ruined your life and I will never talk to you." And it's like, "Oh, okay. Thanks for that one."
Yeah. Oh, I also meant to ask you when you're in it, was there pressure of? Because I'm pretty sure this is true, but I think maybe someone told me it wasn't now I'm thinking about it more, but maybe you can, correct me. The whole 144,000 people number, uh, that's a belief that they believe that exact number is the amount of people that will be saved. That's correct? Is there
Yes.
how much pressure is there when you're in it that you may or may not be in that number?
Honestly, I never felt any pressure. Like, it was almost, um which sounds weird now thinking about it. It was almost a relief to know that, like, I didn't have that calling. Because they tell it to you that it's like, you'll know in your core if you have been called by God to be one of these 144,000 people. And it was also very much it's never said, but in my brain, it was very much alluded to that these are going to be older people, people who have been around since 1914 or since like the 1920s. Like young people, someone my age would never get that calling because it's going to be those who kind of were here at the beginning of Christ getting on his throne because they claim he was on the throne starting at 1914. Um, that's a whole other subject we could go on, but um, so it was kind of like I knew I was too young. I would never be in my place because as I aged, I was like, there's probably nobody left. 144,000 have been being collected since 1914. So, I mean, that numbers had to be filled by this point. But I do think because as I aged up in this, I saw more and more younger people claiming to be one of the 144,000. And I was always kind of like, that's weird. Like, you would kind of judge those people because you're like, there's no way that you, of all the people, would be called by God to serve in heaven with him. Um, so I don't know, there's a lot of weird judgmental stuff that would happen with people. And they had to like even say like that we should never judge somebody who claimed to be one of the 144,000 because they talked about how mental illness was rampant in this world. And also we shouldn't judge because we just don't know what's going on in their heart and what God has put on them. And it was like, okay. So I never felt pressure to answer your question. I didn't want to be honest. It was just like, nope, I'm good.
Yeah, okay, I'd love to hear about that 1914 thing, like, where does that come from?
I honestly have no idea, and I need to do more research on this, but they claim that 1914 was when Jesus took his throne. If I got this wrong, somebody in the comments, please correct me. But they claim that that is when Jesus took his throne, and from that point forward was when the 144,000, which are mentioned in Revelation, are starting to be collected to be brought into heaven with him. How they got the number, I literally don't know. I do know it's not accurate and it's completely wrong, but that is like a foundation of their religion. And they used to say that the generation who were alive in 1914 would not see the end of this system or wouldn't see death in this system because Jesus would come back by that point and ruin and Armageddon would happen and everything would be done away with. And then as time went on, it was like, "Oh, boy, that's not happening." And so then they changed the thing to, like, they call it overlapping generations. So anybody who knew of anybody who was alive during 1914, basically, to, like, basically push out this timeline because 'cause they've been saying the end is coming since 1914. 1925 was, like, their first real big prediction that this is the year that the end is happening. It's insane.
Wow, I think if I could be wrong, I'm trying to put my historian hat on, I think that was the first year of World War One, so maybe that was
Yes.
something to do with
And
that?
that's what they claimed is what proved to them that, like, Jesus had taken the throne was because the First World War One happened, and it was just like, it doesn't make sense when you think about it. But they also
Yeah,
they tied this in also with I'm so, like, not good at, like, knowing my history as a Jehovah's Witness, which is actually kind of funny because 'cause I'm like, I don't know why they have these numbers. They somehow correlated it. They have, like, all these articles that would come out like, "Here's how we did the math, and here's how we came to this number, and then World War One happened, and it proves that we were right," and I'm just like, I never thought anything of it, and now that I'm out, I'm like, I'm too exhausted to look into all of this and actually do the numbers, but I do know there are some ex-Jehovah's Witnesses who have, like, dived deep into it, and good for them because That is not my brain. It would be, like, exploding from confusion.
Yeah, yeah, and what were, like 'cause I enjoy asking people that are in such high controlled situations, the activities they got to try for the first time. We talked about your birthday, but other activities you got to try for the first time once you got out. What were those like for you?
It was so fun. So for me, Christmas was one that I, as a child, was so jealous I never got to celebrate. From just even, like, the aspect of the decorations. I loved the lights, and I loved the Christmas trees and everything, and that was so fun. I'm actually, like, oddly obsessed with it now. It's only been this is our 3rd Christmas we'll be doing this year, and I drive my husband crazy because 'cause I'm just like, "I just got a bunch of Christmas decorations off Marketplace," and he's like, "We have enough." But, like, the holidays have been so much fun, and I think it probably helps that we have kids because I get to, like, relive everything through their little eyes. It's so fun. Um, but yeah, I think holidays were a big one. Birthdays were still for my kids, were amazing and still fun to do. For myself, still a little weird. Um but that and then also tattoos. I got tattoos for my first time, which it's funny because it's not technically they don't claim they have nothing in writing that's like, "You cannot have a tattoo," but they have a lot of things in writing that are like, "For those that have a tattoo, do you think God would be happy about you defiling your body in such a way?" So it's very much like, you shouldn't have them. So I got tattoos when I left too because I was like, I've always liked them. I think they're amazing, and I was like, "I'm doing this." So I may be a mom of 2, but I'm gonna be getting tattoos as much as I want.
Yeah, that's cool. Did you? Because like, being out of it too, 'cause I imagine you starting your YouTube channel has been very therapeutic, but were you able to also join any type of ex-Jehovah's Witness support groups?
Yeah, so there is, like, some Facebook groups out there that I've joined, but for me, it's been more so, like, building the community I've created through, like, my social media, and, like, I have now friends, like, women that text me all the time, and I know their life and that we update each other, and it's just, like, we know what we've gone through, we've gotten to, like we don't have to, like, sit there and be like, "Oh my gosh, we said a term, now I have to explain it to you," like, we all get it, so it is nice to have, like, these huge groups that are building and they seem to be getting bigger and bigger every day. So there are a few Facebook groups that were very instrumental in like the healing process, definitely in the beginning for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I also, I guess, big takeaways have you had from your YouTube channel too? Getting a chance to, I
Um,
guess, interview people that were also
I
ex-Jehovah's Witnesses.
I feel like just realizing like your story is not unique and that there are so many people who have walked the exact same path as you. Obviously, we all have different things that have happened to us in the religion, but just seeing these people who had the same feelings as you and the same thoughts as you, it kind of makes you realize, like, okay, I'm not crazy. Cause not that I've ever thought that, but there is always that like tiny thing in your head that's like, maybe something is wrong with me and I'm crazy and this organization is what it claims to be. But then you get these stories after stories of people who have witnessed the same stuff, gone through the same stuff, researched the same things, and it's just like, okay, no, like as a collective, we all came to the same conclusion. It's been super healing just to like talk with other people and like I guess have that like camaraderie of like, okay, yeah, I remember researching that too, and I came to the same conclusion as you, so we're good. Like, I'm not crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Does anyone that you interviewed, anyone their, I guess, experiences, like, really stand out for you? Like, "Whoa, I can't believe that happened to you?"
Gosh, there's been so many moments. For me though, like my first interview I did, she was the epitome of, like, what I never was in the organization. Like, her husband was an elder, and they were pioneers and, like, kinda, like, higher ups in the organization, and in, like, your head, those are the people that would never leave and never stray from it, and there's like, I was technically kind of spiritually weak as they would view me, and it's like seeing someone like her who went from, like, the epitome of being, like, the ultimate Jehovah's Witness, the most spiritual, at this level that they claim would never, like, leave this organization. To have someone like that wake up and walk away, it was, like, eye-opening. Like, okay, yeah, so literally anyone can, like one thing can click in their brain, and then it's like a snowball of them getting out and them realizing they're in a cult and they're being controlled by a group of men. So that was kind of intriguing for me. I think probably because it comes from a place of me seeing all our Jehovah's Witness family that are like those kind of like mega Jehovah's Witnesses, like elders, pioneers, like being used across like at big assemblies and stuff. And it's like seeing those people in my head, I'm like, they will never leave, they'll never wake up. But then talking with Lori, who I spoke with, it was like, okay, there is potential that one day I could get a call from my sister or a cousin, and they'll be like, "We woke up, we left," and it would be amazing. I would be so excited to have, like, family joining us on the right side of things.
Yeah, so that I guess that hasn't happened for you in terms of no one from your kingdom hall has reached out and been like, "Yeah, I left too. Let's reconnect or whatnot."
No, we've had, like, a few that were, like, acquaintances from, like, surrounding areas who have reached out to us since we left and who have also woken up, but no one, like, we were ever, like, super close to, and, like, I mean, we knew of them, we know, like, maybe their family name or whatever, but it has been nice to have those people, like, reach out to me, and it's like they're like, "We know you guys left, and now we know why you left," and it's like, "Yeah, we were not the crazy ones that I'm sure everyone was saying we were." So, it's been pretty cool. I can't wait. I think one day it will happen. Like, somebody who we're very close with, I'm hoping will reach out to us and be like, "Okay, first of all, sorry for shunning you all this time. Second of all, we've joined you in this world." So
Yeah, how do you feel now when you walk past or have you been approached by a Jehovah's Witness at all since you've left?
no, so because we're so, like, well known in the area, people see us and know, like, our home is on a do not call list in their, like, records. So we've had Jehovah's Witnesses working our street, and they skip over us. It was kind of funny, like, it was probably 6 months after we left. My husband was out talking with our neighbor, he was, like, an older gentleman, and they were so awkward trying to talk to our neighbor and, like, completely ignore my husband, and our neighbor, we had kind of filled him in on everything that had happened, and he was like, "That was weird." It's like, "Yeah, it's very weird." So, no, they haven't spoken to me. I maybe if I was in a different city or something, but no, I see them all the time at, like, Target and Walmart, and they ignore me, but they'll, like, look my direction and be like, "Oh my gosh, there's the crazy evil apostate woman, we have to avoid her."
Yeah, because I feel like like, let's say you live in a different area, so these are all brand new Jehovah's Witnesses, and then maybe they did approach you. Would you, in those situations, feel some kinda, like, moral responsibility to tell them that they're in a false religion?
I think I would, and I feel like, um, I would do it in, like, a very kind, loving way. Because what they have been fed is that people who leave who are called apostates, which is what they call me and my husband, because we actively speak out, like, online and stuff about their organization, they say that we're deranged and crazy and, like, off our rockers. So, like, for me, it would be this way of proving that part wrong, so I'd be very kind, I would be very loving, very gentle, but I would also probably throw in some little, like, "You just need to be aware of something," and I don't know what it would be. My husband remembers being out in service one time, and there was a man who was that way, very kind, and he was like, "Hey, you really should look at your organization and how they handle, like, child abuse." And that's all he said. He's like, "Have a great day. I'm not interested, but I just wanted to tell you that." And that was, like, he said now looking back, that was something that kind of, like, stuck with him for a long time because the way he was very nice, but, like, he was like, "Why would I need to look up that? Like, we're not the Catholics, we don't handle this wrong." Lo and behold, we do. The Jehovah's Witnesses do, but I think I would be more than happy to have that conversation with a Jehovah's Witness to hopefully get their brain thinking.
Yeah, because it's so interesting to me. Because I remember I was interviewing, I think you know her, I think you probably interviewed her as well, Bethany from Stop the Shunning.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she's fantastic. She was telling me how she was approached by a group of Jehovah's Witnesses, or maybe she saw them at a grocery store, and one of them needed help with something, so she went out of her way to help that person, and then she said, "An apostate just helped you. Have a good day," and she left because the view of apostates from Jehovah's Witnesses are like, "These people don't know anything." Like,
Mhm,
they view as if you guys can't even, like, work a vending machine. It's just how the low
yeah,
tier of IQ.
mhm.
Is
Yeah,
that
they view
I mean, is that
you it's I feel like they view you as, like, there's an example in the Bible of, like, when there were demons and they threw them into the swine and, like, the swine all just jumped off a cliff. Like, they view
Yeah.
apostates as these, like, basically non-human, filled with just demons and, like, can't even put a sentence together and are just, like, out there like crazy on the streets, and it's like, yeah, no, that's the farthest thing from the truth. Majority of these people who leave are very intelligent people who had the, like, guts to just do some research. And that's why I love the, like, YouTube world, because you have all these, like, very well-spoken Jehovah's Witnesses out there, like, not just spewing, like, crazy conspiracies. They're just talking about doctrines that can be proven wrong by a little bit of research.
Yeah, and I guess what's your current worldview now?
So, I just it's been a since we've left, it's been a journey. I like to call it a journey. When we first left the Jehovah's Witnesses, I was like, "I want nothing to do with religion ever again. I don't care if there's a God. I don't care, like, about anything. I'm just gonna build a community around me of good people, and that's it." As I've healed, I have leaned into, like, studying the Bible myself and not the Jehovah's Witness version of the Bible. It's been kind of fun to actually compare the scriptures that they have changed to fit their narrative. And I've actually been this sounds really weird, but I have had a huge pull to a church that's local. I have yet to go, but the people that go there, I've some of the friends I have made leaving in, like, a mom's group I'm in are actually members there. It's like a non-denominational church, but it's like, I don't know, I have a pull again back to I don't know if I'd ever be, like, a major churchgoer again, like, every Sunday I'm going, but there's just something that I'm like, I still have that feel of, like, I wanna know the real God, not the God I was taught, because the Jehovah's Witness God is not the right one, and I think all people that I've encountered are some of the kindest, most amazing humans. I've loved meeting people on the outside and just seeing what I was told to be a lie. So they tell you, like, everybody kinda how I was just talking about, like, apostates are these crazy, evil, deranged people. They sort of claim the thing for anybody on the outside. Like, they're not good people. They all live very horrible lives. They have drug problems, and they are not faithful in marriages and all this crazy stuff, and it's like, you get to know people and you're like, "Oh my gosh, you're just an amazing, wonderful person." I've met some wonderful women who come from all different backgrounds, have all different beliefs, and they're just all good people. So it has been refreshing, to say the least, to actually, like, get to be in the real world and just experience the kindness that is, like, humankind.
That's awesome to hear, 'cause I applaud you for not turning your back on God. That's despite the fact that you were put in a position to where religion seemed very, very, very unattractive because of the Jehovah's Witness upbringing. So applause for you for continuing that journey, and I hope it. I look forward to seeing where it brings you.
Me
But
too.
I guess how is your upbringing in Jehovah's Witnesses affected how you want to raise your own children currently, and I guess before you even had them?
I think it hasn't really changed much. So I always knew I wanted to raise respectful children who were loving and kind to everyone. Um, but it's shifted from, you can be kind to people on the outside, but only really to Jehovah's Witnesses. Now I'm just raising them to be good with everyone. Like, love everyone, be good to people, go out of your way to do something kind for a person. My kids are still very little, so, like, we're working on it. But, like, my daughter's in kindergarten this year, and her teacher already is like, she's so helpful, and, like, it's kindergarten, so there's been kids who are struggling still with, like, separating from parents, and the teacher was like, she will go out of her way when, like, there's a kid crying at school drop off to, like, get them involved with something she's doing so that they stop crying, and it's like, okay, if that's all my children do are just, like, good little people and, like, grow up to be good, respectful people, I'm so happy. I'm still like, I am talking to them a little bit more about God, but I'm like, because it was so shoved down my throat as a child, I don't wanna do that with them. So I'm like, I throw it in here and there. And, like, when Easter came around this year, I told them, like, why people celebrate Easter. And I had, like, if someone gift me a cross necklace, and I was telling them why this is a beautiful piece of jewelry and what it means to people and, like, what I feel it means to me, and it's like, I don't think I'll ever force them into, like, sitting in a 2-hour service if they're not comfortable doing that, but I'm just excited for them to kind of discover their path when it comes to God too. Like, my daughter is she's asked to pray sometimes, and I'm like, "Absolutely. Yes. Say a prayer for us. I would love that." My son, he's still little. He doesn't really care. He says, "Thank you, God, for your name." And I'm like, "Cool. I love it."
Well, it sounds like you've been doing a very good job parenting if your kids are this way so far.
I hope so. I hope they don't prove me wrong in 10 years, but I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best.
Yeah, and I guess how has, your whole story, I guess, affected how you see the world these days?
Um, I feel like it's made me just not take for granted anything. So Jehovah's Witnesses are told this is not the real world. Like, make it through this system to get on the other side. So whatever happens now, don't worry about it. Your health doesn't matter. Your finances don't matter. Nothing matters. Just do your best to like be a Jehovah's Witness and get to the other side. And it's made me like realize like I want to live my life to the fullest. I want to experience everything and I want to help people and I want to do community outreach and all these things that like before was never um taught to us or like told like it's so crazy they're a church and yet they don't do anything for the community other than service. They say that's their community outreach is knocking on a door. But like I want to be able to go to food banks and like help serve, the homeless. I want to do all this stuff. I just want to take advantage of everything and I also want to give back as much as I possibly can because it's something I've never been able to do and I feel fortunate that I have my health and I have my beautiful children and my beautiful house and my beautiful family and I'm like I'm ready to like start giving back to people and doing my best for my community. And I love that I can actually do that because it would have been so frowned upon as a Jehovah's Witness to have that mentality. So I'm doing it all.
That's good to hear. These are 2 last questions, but we ask everyone on the show these 2 exact questions. But the first one is, have you ever had a paranormal or supernatural encounter?
I don't think so. No, I feel like I would know. I have not. Um, I do think that it's possible, but I have never had one. No.
Okay. And then the last question is, if God came down right now and said you have one question you can ask me, and I will answer it right here and right now, what would you ask?
That's a good one. I've had to think about this one a bit. Um, I think I think my biggest question would be like what happens after death? Because Jehovah's Witnesses are told when you die, there is no soul, there is nothing that lives on. You're just asleep in the ground and you're waiting for God to resurrect you into a paradise earth, not heaven, an earth. So you come back alive when all the bad people are gone. And there was comfort in that thought because it was like, okay, this isn't the only life. I get to be with my family again on the other side. Um, but now I would love to know, like, for me especially, if my soul goes on, am I gonna get to watch my kids grow old? Am I gonna get to watch their children grow old? Like, I wanna know that. So I feel like that's what I'd ask. What actually happens after I die?
Yeah. I had no idea they believed after you when you died that you go to, like, sleep and then God wakes you up whenever all the
Yeah.
bad people are gone. I really didn't know that. Is that written in the scriptures in their translation, I assume?
Yes, and I don't remember which one they use, but I think it's like from dust you are made to dust you'll return. So they claim it like there's also other ones they use, but they say there's no soul, which like doing more research, like it absolutely claims there is a soul in you that can go on. So it's I it's funny because in I was like, that's so comforting. I wouldn't want to be, somebody thinking about am I gonna go to heaven or am I gonna go to hell? It's like um, the thought of just, like, going to sleep and never like, I don't know, it's not comforting now that I'm on the other side, that's not a comforting thought, so it's a weird it's a weird teaching. They're like, "Yep, they're just dead, they're just asleep, nothing is alive, they are conscious of nothing." It's like, that's
Wow.
not very comforting.
And was the view on? Because I got confused talking to a Jehovah's Witness once. up the street because he made it seem like there was a belief that Jesus was the Son of God, but just not God. So I know they reject a triune God, but, like, so what they view what do they say Jesus was? Just a prophet?
They claim he's Michael the archangel in the Bible, and so he's just an angel. He's the son of God. Um, it's interesting because 'cause I've done a lot more research on the Trinity since leaving. Because we were taught, like, as Jehovah's Witnesses, something very different from how, like, the Trinity is actually taught to people who believe in the Trinity. Because they claim it's like I don't even know how to explain this, but sounds stupid. I had to have ChatGPT. I'm like, "Please explain this to me like I'm 5 years old because I don't understand the concept of this." Because Jehovah's Witnesses claim it's literally the exact same person. And it's like, okay, it's 3 entities of the same, like, uh, thing. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but yeah, though, they think he's not God, he is just God's son. And, it shows in their teachings because it's almost like they've demoted Jesus from, like, the actual glory he deserves, which is very sad, but, it's weird. I don't even know how they got to him being Michael the Archangel, to be completely honest, but that is what they claim.
Interesting. Well,
Yeah.
sounds good. Alyssa, thank you so much for coming on. Do you have any last words of advice for our audience?
Um, if you are an ex Jehovah's Witness watching this, I hope your life is great. Work through the hard parts because the hard parts are hard when you're dealing with shunning. If you're someone doubting who stumbled across this, maybe that's the Holy Spirit telling you to do some research. And for anybody else watching this, like if you run across Jehovah's Witnesses, be kind to them, but try and strike up conversations that will make them think critically because they need to get away from that organization.
Mm. Amen. Alyssa, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me on.
Free audio post production by alphonic.com.